Thank you, Madam Chair. I simply have one question. We've discussed that if a licensee doesn't perform the benchmarks with the build out within 10 years, has the commission explored? I know this is under new regulations. Have you explored ways to, kind of incentivize after 5 years that maybe they could? I understand why they don't flip it, and I believe what you're saying, because that would create obviously people be getting just for flipping the for those. Is there any other ways that we can kind of expedite that, make it a little faster, especially in rural areas? I mean, 10 years can be a lifetime.
No. Well, our rule on the designated entities says if you qualify for a bidding credit, you are not allowed to flip it. You have to keep it for 10 years. Our build-out requirements actually kick in earlier.
Right.
So, for example, after 4 years, we have a benchmark, and we say if you don't, both geographic and population, depending upon which license you want. If you don't beat that benchmark after 4 years, we actually shorten the time of your license from 10 years to 8 years. And that's a significant deterrent to not building out over a large part of your over a large part of either your population or geographic area. So we actually have benchmarks along the way to make sure that people are progressing and making progress towards getting to that. We don't want to just have a requirement that says you have to build it out over 10 years and get to the end of the 10 years and say you didn't do anything. And that's why we have that benchmark actually less than halfway through to make sure you're doing it and meeting what's a very aggressive benchmark. And indeed, the incumbent, the wireless industry was very opposed to, in general, that aggressive benchmark, because it's a more aggressive benchmarking along the way than we've ever used before to make sure that those areas in rural areas are being built out, because we can't afford to wait for 10 years for it to be getting out to those people.
Chairman Martin, thank you, and Madam Chair, I yield back.
Mr. Ellsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman, could you discuss how the E911, how we can ensure the availability and the open platform for E911 from your aspect?
Well, we end up having some very strict rules on wireless 911 capability, and indeed on increasing on all the different platforms that we have that the Commission regulates. Since I became chairman, we've been very aggressive in making sure that all the different platforms have 911 capability. So the voice over IP providers are now required to provide 911 and deliver every call to the local police and fire department, and we have very aggressive requirements on the wireless industry that they're having to as well. And we will enforce those, and the Commission was clear that they would apply to all of the providers who win in the 700 megahertz auction as well. So it would apply to whoever's winning all of the different pieces of spectrum.
Thank you. I have no other questions.